All right, with a lot of finagling there, it did finally work. If you're using the new versions of the menu, I still need to figure out what. uh, okay, so here we are. The icons finally did show up. For those of you using the new version of Android Studio, I've got to figure out how to make that work and why I couldn't get this action bar to show up. So I'll figure that out after everything is done here and email you. There's only a handful of you. The rest of you, it shouldn't be a problem. If you're using the older version of the Android Studio, you should still be able to create a new project. You'll have the menu folder. Under resources, you'll have a menu folder. And what I did to get this up, just as a quick review, because it was in the other recording, is I added 3 images that are all different sizes, but notice it made them all the same size. And it doesn't look like that's been distorted, and it doesn't look like it's, well, maybe it does look a little smaller. It's hard to tell.
Yeah.
So either 32 by 32 or 48 by 48, pick a consistent size. I would not go 96 because I know these are not 96. So I'll pick one of those 2 sizes, go out and find icons. Okay. What you absolutely shouldn't do, and most of you have turned in your 5.1 projects and I've looked them over, and you've got these nice 200 by 400 pictures that you're throwing in there. They're well sized. Should not be using as an icon. Most of them are too detailed. You wouldn't be able to see much. So go out and search for icons or take a little screen snapshot that's about 48 by 48 out of your picture if you need to. But have different paint.net will do that, but make a different size icon so it's the appropriate size. And I showed you in the last recording that I can click on them and see that they're the appropriate size, and I will. Then the other thing we did after adding those images to the drawable folder, they're right here. The other thing I did is went to the menu XML file and added 3 items. One was already there. I tweaked it, added an icon. The other 2, I simply copied the one once it was done, copied it twice, or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times, however many pictures you've got, and go from there. Now, for those of you who had, I think there's a few of you who had 6, 7 pictures in there. If you've got 6 or 7, the assignment doesn't say it, but I will accept just 3 icons to prove that you can do it. When I click on those 3 icons, you take me to the appropriate picture, but there's no icons for the other. Or you can make 6. If I add another one here, I'm going to start running out of room, and then we can see what happens. Okay, now I've run out of room, and I get this little vertical bar. If you say never, remember we did the if room, right? If you say never, all you get are these 3 little dots. When you click the 3 little dots, it gives you the words, but it doesn't give you the icon. There may be a way to make the icon show on that. You can figure that out. Bonus points. I didn't bother. And it's not listed in the assignment. You can figure out how to get them on here. So if you have 6, I think, Karen, weren't yours like 6 queens that you had? 6 different queens, and she could put the names in here and pick them from the names, because where's she going to find an itty bitty picture of Queen Victoria from the 1700s? I don't know. She might not find icons that she likes, and really, would you pick them by their faces? I don't know that I would. Maybe it's better in her case to have the names. But as long as you have at least 2 or 3 there, I'll be happy. Questions about getting those in there? Okay, and again, if room, never, or always. If you say always, it'll start pushing. Let's just demonstrate that here. If I do all of these nevers as always, at some point this action bar will shrink. And if there's too many, it'll actually cut them off. So if I add a couple of more, at some point, this will get chopped off. I would suggest the if room so you don't clog up your screen. Okay. Now the next thing we want to know is how do we tell which one of these menu items was clicked? It's pretty straightforward actually. Go to the main activity, you are given an on options item selected. And it gives you the menu item ID number of that item. Actually, it doesn't give you the ID number, it gives you a menu item. What we have to do is grab that item from here and get its ID. And then we can start processing. Now, since this is an integer, my advice would be, and this is a hint advice, the best tool to use for this is a switch statement. When that ID is r.usa, then what do I want to do? Let's just do a toast message .make text. I think it's this, and then what do I want to see? USA flag, pretty boring, and a toast.long. Let's make it short. Don't forget your breaks and your switch statement, and now I can, and a dot show. I tell you, I'm going home and going to bed. It's been one of those days. Thank you. Did I leave the 2 in there? Must have. It's all right. What did I miss? Germany. Go figure. And of course, this is just one command to do. You can do anything in there. Function calls, method calls. You do 6 statements in there or whatever you need to do. Now I don't need this, but if I remember right, don't mess with this on options item selected super call because it calls the superclass that created the menu in the first place and say, you do what you got to do, which is probably make the menu pop up. So don't forget to take that one out, or not to take it out, excuse me. Okay? Not too hard. Matt's all bored because he figured all this out on his own. Cool. Questions? All right, let's take a real break, about 15 minutes. I'm going to still try to see if I can make this puppy work to get the menu to work, because in my next project I want to show you, I don't need it necessarily, but I'd like to be able to start with a fresh project.